What if one invention could change the world overnight, but it came at a personal cost no one saw coming? That was the question racing through Emily Carter's mind as she stared at the encrypted message glowing on her phone screen. The message was short, direct, and completely unexpected: "We need you at the Nevada lab. Urgent." Emily's heart pounded faster, a mixture of excitement and dread swirling inside her. She had spent the last 5 years working under Elon Musk's shadow at Tesla and SpaceX, quietly pushing the boundaries of what technology could achieve. But this was something entirely different. Elon's newest patent, whispered about in secret meetings and buried deep within top-level clearance files, was on the verge of being unveiled to the world. The promise it held could disrupt everything, from energy production to transportation to global communication. Yet the weight of the unknown pressed down on Emily's shoulders. What if the patent's power was too great? What if it risked everything she cared about? Her thoughts were interrupted by a ping, a notification from a live stream she followed, a small community of innovators and dreamers like herself. The streamer's voice cut through the tension: "Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough?" Emily smiled faintly, her fingers hesitating before typing a quick reply: "Curiosity." It was that insatiable drive, that relentless hunger to know more and do better, that had led her here. From a small apartment in Austin to the cutting edge of human innovation, curiosity was her compass. But curiosity alone wasn't enough tonight. As she packed her bag, her mind raced through the possibilities. The patent, known only by a cryptic code name, had been the subject of hushed conversations and hurried meetings for months. Some called it Elon's Holy Grail, a technology that could revolutionize the world's energy grid by harnessing an undiscovered form of clean power. Others whispered darker rumors: potential weaponization, corporate espionage, and ethical dilemmas no one was ready to face. Emily had kept her head down, focused on her role as lead engineer, but now, with the urgent summons, she knew the real game was about to begin. Outside, the night was quiet. The stars twinkled faintly, distant and indifferent to the human dramas unfolding below. Emily took a deep breath, reminding herself of the stakes. This was bigger than her fears. It was bigger than Elon Musk or any one person. It was about the future. As the plane soared towards the Nevada desert, Emily stared out the window, the landscape below transforming into endless stretches of barren earth. The lab was a fortress of steel and glass hidden from the world, a place where science and ambition collided. How did the world work? How could something as fragile as power be lost so easily? Those questions planted the seed of her passion for engineering and innovation. At school, Emily was the quiet kid with a fierce mind. She spent hours poring over books about physics, technology, and space exploration. Her heroes were people like Nikola Tesla, Marie Curie, and yes, Elon Musk, visionaries who dared to push the boundaries of human potential. But Emily's path was not without its emotional hurdles. Her older brother, Jason, had chosen a very different road. While Emily chased dreams of innovation, Jason became increasingly skeptical of the tech world, seeing it as a place that often left people behind. Their relationship was strained, marked by long silences and unspoken disagreements. Family dinners sometimes turned into debates about ethics, privacy, and the cost of progress. Despite the tension, Emily loved her brother deeply. She knew beneath his cynicism was a man shaped by his own disappointments and fears. Their complicated bond would come to shape much of her journey ahead. Emily's friendship with Marcus was another pillar of her life. They met in college at the University of Texas, both part of a robotics club that quickly became a sanctuary for their shared passion. Marcus was the extrovert to Emily's introvert, always cracking jokes and pushing her to see beyond the technical details to the human impact of their work. He challenged her to think critically about the consequences of innovation, reminding her that progress without purpose could be dangerous. Emily often found herself torn between these two influences, the relentless drive of visionaries like Elon Musk, and the cautious realism of friends like Marcus and Jason. This internal conflict was a quiet but powerful undercurrent in her life. As she climbed the ranks at Tesla, Emily earned a reputation as a brilliant but thoughtful engineer. She was respected for her technical expertise and admired for her integrity. Yet beneath the surface, doubts gnawed at her. She wondered if the relentless pace of innovation was sustainable, and if the sacrifices demanded by her work were worth the cost. Her relationship with Elon Musk was complex. Elon was a figure of immense charisma and vision but also enigma. Emily had worked closely with him on several projects, witnessing firsthand his ability to inspire and challenge everyone around him. He pushed her to think bigger, to dream beyond what seemed possible. But she also sensed a guarded side of Elon, a man burdened by his own fears and losses. It was this duality that made her both drawn to him and wary. She remembered the first time Elon hinted at the new patent during a confidential meeting. His eyes sparkled with excitement, but there was an undercurrent of urgency, even desperation. "This isn't just another invention," he said quietly. "It's a chance to rewrite the rules." She thought of her best friend Marcus, who had always been skeptical of Elon's relentless pace. "Sometimes, Emily," he'd said, "there's a cost you don't see until it's too late." She wished she could call him now, tell him everything was going to be okay. But she couldn't. Not yet. The plane landed, and Emily was whisked away by a black SUV to the lab. Inside, the atmosphere was tense. Scientists and engineers buzzed around like bees in a hive, eyes bright with anticipation and anxiety. Elon Musk stood near a sleek console, his usual confident smile replaced by a rare seriousness. "Emily," he said, his voice low but steady, "this patent could change everything, but it also carries risks we haven't fully understood." Emily nodded. She felt the weight of history pressing on her. This was no ordinary project. It was a gamble with the future itself. The prototype was unveiled, a compact device no bigger than a suitcase but capable of producing energy at levels never before seen. As Emily reached out to touch it, a surge of hope and fear coursed through her veins. What if this was the breakthrough humanity needed? Or what if it was the beginning of something far more complicated? The room fell silent, eyes locked on the glowing machine. Elon's words echoed, "We're standing on the edge of a new era. What happens next depends on us." Emily's journey had just begun. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? For her, the answer was clear: the chance to make a difference, no matter the cost. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? Emily Carter's story began far from the bright lights of Silicon Valley or the secretive labs hidden in Nevada's desert. She grew up in Austin, Texas, in a small but cozy apartment on the east side of the city. Her mother, Linda, was a schoolteacher who juggled 2 jobs to keep the family afloat after Emily's father left when she was only 6. Those early years were marked by struggle but also by an unwavering bond between mother and daughter. Emily's childhood was filled with moments of quiet resilience. She remembered the long nights when the power would cut out during storms, plunging the apartment into darkness. Those nights, when the hum of electricity vanished and the city fell silent, sparked her curiosity. Emily knew then that whatever this patent was, it carried weight far beyond its technical specs. It was tied to Elon's personal mission, and maybe even his personal demons. Outside of work, Emily's life was simpler but no less meaningful. She enjoyed quiet evenings with Marcus and their circle of friends, hiking trips in the Texas Hill Country, and moments of reflection at a small lake near her childhood home. These grounding experiences reminded her of what mattered beyond the lab: family, friendship, and the hope for a better world. But those moments were often shadowed by worry. The patent had already sparked whispers of corporate espionage, government interest, and ethical dilemmas. Emily knew that her choices going forward would not just affect her career but the very fabric of the world around her. As she prepared to face the challenges ahead, Emily carried with her the lessons of her past. The resilience learned from her mother's sacrifices, the complex love and tension with her brother, and the friendship that kept her grounded. These were the threads weaving the foundation of her character, shaping her motivations and the difficult decisions she would soon confront. The story of Elon Musk's newest patent was not just about technology or business. It was about a woman standing at the crossroads of ambition and morality, hope and fear, progress and consequence. Emily's journey was a mirror of the larger questions facing society in an age of rapid change. How far should we push the boundaries of innovation? At what cost? And ultimately, what does it mean to be human in a world transformed by technology? As the Nevada desert sun rose over the horizon, casting long shadows across the testing facility, Emily felt the weight of history on her shoulders. She was no longer just an engineer or a dreamer. She was a guardian of a secret that could either illuminate the future or cast it into uncertainty. And deep down, she knew that the choices she made in the coming days would define not just her own story, but the story of a generation. The lines between science and sacrifice were about to blur, and Emily had to find the courage to navigate the storm. What pushed her forward? The answer lay in the memory of a powerless night in her childhood, the quiet determination of a mother's love, and the hope that even in the darkest moments, innovation could light the way. Emily's world, once confined to the predictable rhythms of engineering deadlines and design reviews, suddenly exploded into chaos. The secret patent that had seemed so carefully guarded was now the center of a storm swirling with suspicion, corporate espionage, and personal betrayal. The first sign of trouble came in the form of an encrypted email intercepted by Tesla's cybersecurity team. Someone had tried to access the patent files remotely, using credentials that should have been impossible to replicate. The breach attempt was traced back to an unknown source, but the damage was clear: the company's most sensitive project was at risk. Panic rippled through the lab like an electric current. Elon's usual unshakable confidence was shaken. "We can't afford to have this slip," he said, pacing the room during an emergency meeting. "If this technology falls into the wrong hands, it could endanger everything we're building." Emily felt a knot tighten in her stomach. She knew that protecting the patent was not just about safeguarding intellectual property, it was about defending the future. But as the investigation deepened, unsettling questions surfaced. Could someone inside the company be involved? The very people she worked alongside, trusted, and respected? The tension escalated when Marcus called her late one night. His voice was low and urgent. "Emily, I've been hearing things, rumors about the patent, about what it could do. And people who want to stop it. You need to be careful." Their friendship, once a safe harbor, was now strained. Marcus's skepticism had grown into fear, and it clashed sharply with Emily's commitment to Elon's vision. "Marcus, I know you worry, but this technology can change the world for the better," she replied, trying to keep the frustration from her voice. "We have to believe in progress." "Progress without caution is reckless," he shot back. "You don't see the bigger picture." The conversation ended with no resolution, only a widening gulf between them. Meanwhile, within the walls of Tesla's innovation hub, whispers of dissent grew louder. Some engineers questioned the ethics of the new patent, worried about its potential misuse. Others feared the intense pressure Elon was putting on the team would lead to burnout or mistakes. Emily found herself caught in the middle, balancing the competing demands of loyalty, morality, and ambition. Then came the betrayal. Late one evening, while reviewing security footage, Emily spotted a familiar face in a restricted area near the prototype. It was someone from her own team, David, a talented but ambitious engineer who had recently been passed over for promotion. Confronting him was a mixture of disbelief and hurt. "Why, David? Why risk everything?" she asked quietly. His answer was chilling. "Because some of us don't want Elon to have all the power. This patent isn't just technology, it's control. And control should be shared." The revelation shattered Emily's trust. The team, once united by a shared goal, was fracturing. The stakes were no longer just about innovation but about power struggles and hidden agendas. As the crisis deepened, the pressure took a toll on Emily's emotional state. She felt isolated, torn between the hope that the patent could do good and the harsh reality of human flaws around her. During a rare moment alone, she found herself staring at a photo on her desk, a picture of her mother, smiling despite the hardships they had faced. That memory reminded her of the resilience she needed to keep going. The next day brought a brief glimmer of hope. Elon announced a new security protocol and assembled a task force to protect the project. Emily was named to lead the technical team, a vote of confidence that both honored and burdened her. But the victory was short-lived. A week later, the leak everyone feared became a reality. Sensitive details about the patent appeared on a shadowy online forum frequented by hackers and corporate spies. The leak threatened to derail the entire project and expose the team to public scrutiny. Emily's world spiraled further. She faced harsh questions from company executives and a media eager for scandal. Marcus confronted her again, more urgently this time. "Emily, you have to step back. This isn't just about technology anymore. It's a fight you might not win." But Emily refused to give up. She knew that beyond the chaos lay a chance to change the course of history. She leaned on her closest allies, rallying the team to tighten security and double down on their work. Through long nights and mounting pressure, Emily's resolve hardened. She wasn't just fighting for the patent, she was fighting for a vision of a better future. Yet every step forward seemed to bring new challenges. The patent's technology, still in its early stages, revealed unexpected technical hurdles. Certain components were unstable under prolonged use, raising questions about its safety. Emily wrestled with doubts she rarely allowed herself to admit. Was this breakthrough truly ready for the world? Or were they rushing into something dangerous? The conflict reached a fever pitch when a critical prototype malfunctioned during a demonstration for potential investors. The device emitted an intense surge of energy, triggering alarms and forcing an immediate shutdown. The failure was a public relations nightmare and a blow to the team's morale. Elon's frustration was palpable, but he remained focused. "Setbacks are part of innovation," he said firmly. "We learn, we adapt, we overcome." Emily admired his determination but sensed the cracks beneath the surface. The pressure was changing him, making him more secretive and harder to reach. The once collaborative spirit was being replaced by isolation and urgency. Emily's own relationships began to strain. Marcus grew distant, wary of getting caught in a battle that felt bigger than either of them. Jason reached out after months of silence, warning her to reconsider her involvement. "Emily, don't lose yourself in this. Remember who you are." Those words echoed in her mind as she navigated the increasingly treacherous landscape. Yet amidst the turmoil, moments of hope flickered. The team discovered a potential solution to the prototype's instability, and Emily's leadership earned renewed respect. She found unexpected allies within the company, people who shared her belief that innovation must be tempered with responsibility. These alliances gave her strength to face the next wave of challenges. The story unfolding was a complex dance of trust and betrayal, ambition and caution, hope and despair. Emily's journey was no longer just about a patent or a career, it was about confronting the messy, unpredictable human realities behind every great invention. As the tension mounted, she realized that the true test was not just technical but moral. Could she navigate the storm and protect the vision without losing herself? The path ahead was uncertain and fraught with peril, but Emily was determined to fight for what she believed was right. The rising conflict was only the beginning. The days following the prototype failure felt like walking through a relentless storm. The Nevada lab, once buzzing with hopeful energy, now bore the weight of doubt and scrutiny. Emily stood at the epicenter, grappling not just with the technical challenges but with the emotional roller coaster of watching a dream teeter on the edge of collapse. Yet, amid the turmoil, Elon Musk's vision remained unwavering. "Failure is the crucible of greatness," he told the team during a tense meeting. "We have one shot to get this right. That phrase echoed through Emily's mind as she dove deeper into the project, determined to salvage the breakthrough. The journey took an unexpected turn when Elon proposed relocating part of the research to a remote facility in the Nevada desert, far from the corporate pressures and media glare. It was a chance to rebuild, to innovate without distractions. Emily was both apprehensive and intrigued. The remote site was a sprawling complex hidden in a canyon, surrounded by jagged cliffs and barren landscape that seemed to stretch endlessly under the vast sky. The isolation was both a blessing and a curse. On one hand, it offered the freedom to experiment without immediate oversight. On the other, it magnified the stakes. The team was cut off, under constant pressure, and forced to confront their fears in a high-stakes environment. As Emily arrived at the site, the contrast between the stark desert beauty and the high-tech machinery struck her. The lab was a blend of rugged survival and cutting-edge innovation. The walls were lined with banks of servers humming quietly, screens flickering with complex data streams, and prototype parts scattered across workbenches. The silence of the desert pressed in, broken only by the steady footsteps of engineers and the occasional clang of tools. Days blurred into nights as Emily and her team worked relentlessly. They mapped every failure mode of the device, tested new materials, and re-engineered critical components. The desert sun beat down during the day, while at night the cold air stung their skin as they pored over calculations and simulations. The team's cohesion was tested as fatigue mounted. Arguments flared over design decisions, tempers frayed. Yet, in those moments of tension, small victories sparked hope. A new alloy stabilized the core mechanism. A recalibrated power flow reduced dangerous surges. Emily found herself drawing strength from these breakthroughs, even as the journey became harder. But the greatest challenge wasn't the technology, it was the emotional toll. Emily grappled with the loneliness of leadership, the weight of responsibility pressing down on her chest. She missed Marcus's grounded perspective, and the silence from her brother Jason gnawed at her. Nights were the hardest. She often found herself staring out at the star-studded sky, wondering if the future she was chasing was worth the cost. One evening, after a long day of testing, Elon joined her on the lab's observation deck. The two stood side by side, gazing into the infinite expanse. "You remind me of my younger self," Elon said quietly. Relentless, curious, willing to carry a burden most wouldn't understand. Emily looked at him, searching for the man behind the myth. "Do you ever wonder if it's all worth it?" she asked. Elon's eyes darkened. "Every day. But if we don't push the limits, who will?" Their conversation lingered in Emily's mind, a mix of inspiration and warning. The patent was more than technology, it was a symbol of humanity's potential and its risks. As the weeks passed, the team's hard work began to pay off. The device, now in its third iteration, showed remarkable stability during prolonged testing. Data streamed in confirming energy outputs beyond anything previously achieved. Emily felt a surge of hope, a feeling she hadn't experienced in weeks. Yet, as the prototype improved, so did the external pressures. Government agencies requested briefings, investors demanded updates, and media speculation intensified. Emily's role expanded from engineer to diplomat and strategist. She negotiated carefully, balancing transparency with the need to protect secrets. The remote location shielded them somewhat, but the world's eyes were never far. Then came the unexpected discovery that would redefine the entire project. While analyzing energy flow patterns, Emily noticed an anomaly, a subtle fluctuation that didn't fit any known model. Digging deeper, she realized the device was not just harnessing energy, it was interacting with a previously unknown quantum field, tapping into a source of power that defied classical physics. The implications were staggering. This wasn't just a better battery or a new fuel source, it was a doorway into an entirely new frontier of energy science. Sharing the finding with Elon and the team brought a mixture of excitement and caution. The potential was limitless, but the unknown variables introduced new risks. The patent could disrupt entire industries. Energy, transportation, communications, but it could also upend geopolitical stability. Emily understood that this discovery elevated the stakes to a level none had anticipated. The emotional weight intensified. She wrestled with exhilaration and fear. Could humanity responsibly wield such power? The desert nights grew colder as the team prepared for a crucial demonstration, a moment that could make or break the patent's future. Investors, government officials, and select media representatives would witness the prototype in action. Pressure mounted like a gathering storm. The lab buzzed with frenetic energy. Emily worked alongside technicians, running final tests, troubleshooting last-minute glitches, and trying to quell the growing anxiety among her colleagues. The demonstration day arrived under a clear blue sky. The remote desert was alive with anticipation. Drones hovered overhead, cameras captured every angle, and security personnel maintained a tight perimeter. Emily stood near the prototype, heart pounding but focused. Elon gave a brief speech about the potential of the technology, his usual charisma shining through despite the tension. "This is the future," he declared. "Today, we show the world what's possible." As the device powered up, energy surged through its circuits. A soft hum grew into a resonant pulse, the air charged with palpable electricity. Screens displayed real-time metrics, confirming output levels far beyond expectations. The crowd murmured with awe. Suddenly, a sharp fluctuation rippled through the system. Alarms blared. The prototype emitted an intense burst of energy, knocking over equipment and causing a temporary blackout. Panic erupted. Emergency protocols activated. Emily's instincts kicked in. She rushed to stabilize the system, coordinating the team to contain the surge. Minutes felt like hours. Finally, the device powered down safely, the danger averted but the impact undeniable. The demonstration was both a success and a warning. The technology's power was real but volatile. Questions hung heavy in the air, about safety, control, and responsibility. In the aftermath, Elon addressed the crowd. "Innovation carries risk," he said soberly. "We must learn and adapt. The future demands no less." Emily retreated to the quiet of the lab, exhausted but resolute. The journey had tested her limits, revealing both the promise and peril of the patent. She knew the path forward would be difficult, requiring courage, wisdom, and perhaps sacrifice. As she looked out over the desert, stars blazing above, Emily felt a mix of awe and humility. The climactic journey was far from over. The adventure ahead was one of discovery, challenge, and transformation, a journey that would push humanity to redefine its place in the universe. The aftermath of the demonstration rippled through Emily's world like a seismic shock. The burst of energy that had nearly overwhelmed the lab was more than a technical glitch, it was a stark reminder of the thin line separating breakthrough from catastrophe. For days, Emily wrestled with the weight of what had happened. The prototype was a marvel of engineering, but the unpredictability of the quantum energy field it tapped into was a looming threat. Questions crowded her mind: could they control this force? Were they playing with something humanity wasn't ready for? Elon Musk, ever the visionary, seemed unshaken in public. Behind closed doors, however, Emily caught glimpses of a man battling his own doubts. One late night in the lab, when the team had gone home and the desert was silent except for the hum of machines, Elon confided in her. "Sometimes I wonder if I'm chasing a ghost," he admitted. "But giving up isn't an option. Not now." Those words echoed in Emily's heart. She saw the toll the project took on him, how the burden of responsibility was a lonely crown. Their bond deepened in those quiet hours, forged by shared ambition and fear. Yet, while Emily and Elon grappled with the emotional strain, external pressures mounted. News of the incident leaked despite tight security, sparking a firestorm of media speculation and government inquiries. Activist groups demanded transparency, fearing the patent's potential misuse. Corporations once friendly to Tesla shifted their stance, eyeing the technology as a threat to established industries. Within the company, divisions deepened. Some engineers advocated for halting the project until safety was guaranteed, others, including Elon, pushed forward with even greater urgency. Emily found herself in the eye of the storm, mediating between conflicting voices while fighting her own uncertainty. The pressure bled into her personal life. Marcus reached out again, this time with an ultimatum. "Emily, this isn't just about invention anymore. You're risking everything, your career, your relationships, your sanity. Think about what really matters." Emily appreciated his concern but couldn't afford to retreat. She needed to believe that the patent represented hope, not just for Tesla but for the future of energy and humanity itself. Meanwhile, Jason reappeared unexpectedly. He'd been distant for months, but now he wanted to talk. Over coffee in a quiet cafe in Austin, he voiced fears Emily had long tried to ignore. "You're caught up in something bigger than you realize," he said softly. "Sometimes, the cost of progress is too high. Don't lose yourself chasing a dream that might destroy more than it creates." His words struck a chord. She loved her brother deeply, and his warnings echoed her own buried doubts. But surrender was not in her nature. That night, as she lay awake staring at the ceiling, Emily made a decision. She would confront the heart of the problem, the instability within the quantum energy field. If they could understand and control it, the patent's promise could be realized safely. If not, the consequences could be dire. She poured herself into research, collaborating with physicists and quantum theorists from around the world. The work was grueling and humbling. The deeper they delved, the more they realized how little humanity truly understood about the forces they'd tapped into. Breakthroughs were coupled with dead ends, moments of clarity shadowed by new mysteries. Emily felt the weight of expectation pressing down harder than ever. One evening, as she reviewed data, a startling pattern emerged, a cyclical fluctuation in the energy field that hinted at a way to stabilize the prototype. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but it gave her hope. She shared the findings with Elon and the team, sparking a new wave of experimentation. They engineered a feedback loop designed to synchronize with the energy cycles, hoping to smooth out the dangerous surges. The process was painstaking, requiring countless simulations and tests. But finally, after weeks of effort, the device operated without incident during an extended trial. The lab erupted in cautious celebration. Hope, long strained, was renewed. Yet, just as relief began to settle, tragedy struck. During a routine calibration, a critical failure occurred. The device emitted a burst of energy far more powerful than before. The emergency shutdown was triggered, but not before the surge caused an explosion in one part of the lab. Alarms screamed. Smoke filled the air. Emily was thrown back by the blast's force, her ears ringing. The scene was chaos. Flames licking the walls, colleagues coughing and disoriented, and the once pristine lab scarred by fire. The incident was a brutal blow. Several team members were injured, and the damage set the project back weeks. Emily felt as though the ground had shifted beneath her feet. The emotional climax of her journey had arrived, not in a single moment, but in a torrent of fear, hope, and loss. In the hospital waiting room, she sat beside Elon, both silent, both grappling with the fragile line between brilliance and disaster. The physical pain was one thing, but the emotional scars cut deeper. Elon broke the silence, voice rough. "Maybe this technology isn't meant for now," he said quietly. "Maybe it's too soon." Emily looked at him, the man who had inspired her and challenged her in equal measure. "Or maybe it's exactly the challenge we need to face," she replied. "We can't let fear decide our future." The weeks that followed were a time of reflection and reckoning. Tesla's board demanded a full review. Public opinion was divided, swinging between awe and fear. Emily faced hard questions about her own role. Was she a pioneer or a reckless gambler? She spent long hours writing reports, giving interviews, and advising policymakers. Through it all, she found strength in the memories that had shaped her, her mother's courage in hardship, Jason's cautionary wisdom, Marcus's steadfast friendship. She realized that her journey was as much about inner growth as external success. The emotional climax revealed a profound truth: innovation without humanity was hollow. Technology must serve people, not the other way around. Emily began to speak openly about the need for ethical frameworks and responsible stewardship. Her voice carried a new depth, forged in the fires of experience. The world listened. And then came a breakthrough that no one expected. One quiet morning, as Emily ran simulations on a new prototype design incorporating the feedback loop, the device stabilized perfectly, not just for minutes, but for hours. Energy output was steady, safe, and reproducible. It was a moment of triumph and relief that brought tears to her eyes. Elon was the first to celebrate, embracing her with genuine gratitude. The patent was no longer just an idea or a risky experiment, it was real, viable, and ready to disrupt entire industries. The emotional climax had transformed into a turning point. Emily knew the journey ahead would still be filled with challenges, but the hope born from that moment was powerful. It was a testament to perseverance, courage, and the belief that even in the face of fear, humanity could rise to meet its greatest challenges. As she looked out across the desert from the lab's observation deck, the sun rising in a blaze of orange and gold, Emily felt a quiet certainty. The future was uncertain, but it was hers to shape. The patent was more than technology, it was a symbol of possibility, sacrifice, and the enduring human spirit. The stabilization of the prototype marked a new beginning, but for Emily, the road ahead was as much about reflection as innovation. As the dust settled from the previous chaos, she found herself grappling with the deeper meaning of what they had achieved, and what it truly meant for the future. The patent was no longer a distant idea or an uncertain possibility, it was a reality poised to change energy, transportation, and technology on a global scale. Yet, the journey had taken a toll. Emily often found herself thinking about the people who had supported her along the way: Marcus, whose unwavering friendship had been her anchor through stormy seas; Jason, whose tough love had forced her to confront hard truths; and Elon, whose relentless vision had pushed her beyond limits she never thought she could cross. Each relationship had shaped her, teaching lessons about trust, sacrifice, and resilience. But it was her own inner transformation that stood out most vividly. She remembered the young engineer who had arrived at Tesla full of ambition but uncertain of her place in a world dominated by titans. Now, after trials that had tested her mind and heart, she was a woman who understood the power and responsibility that came with innovation. The patent was a tool, but it was also a symbol of something greater: humanity's capacity to dream, to fail, to learn, and to rise again. Emily spent mornings walking the desert near the lab, breathing in the vast sky and quiet earth. The landscape reminded her of life itself, sometimes barren, sometimes harsh, but always full of possibility. She often reflected on the question that had first sparked her journey: what if you suddenly lost everything and had no one by your side? For Emily, the answer had evolved. She hadn't lost everything, she had gained a new perspective. She realized that even in moments of isolation and doubt, there was a force that pushed her forward: love. For her family, for her friends, for the future she wanted to help build. The patent's success was just one chapter in a larger story of connection and purpose. At Tesla headquarters, the patent rollout was met with excitement and cautious optimism. Industries began to take notice: energy companies, automakers, even space exploration firms. Talks of partnerships and collaborations surged. Emily found herself at the center of a movement, invited to conferences and summits, her voice a beacon of thoughtful leadership. But with the spotlight came scrutiny. Critics questioned the patent's safety and ethical implications. Some warned of unintended consequences, from environmental risks to geopolitical instability. Emily welcomed the debate. She believed transparency and dialogue were essential. In public forums, she emphasized that the technology was not an end in itself, but a tool to be wielded with care and wisdom. Life is full of surprises, she often said in speeches. But love, responsibility, and vision will always lead the way. One evening, after a long day of meetings, Emily sat with Marcus on the porch of her family home. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting warm hues across the sky. "You've come a long way," Marcus said, handing her a cup of coffee. "I'm proud of you." Emily smiled, feeling the weight of years behind her and the promise of years ahead. "I couldn't have done it without you," she replied. "You kept me grounded when I needed it most." They sat in comfortable silence, two souls connected by history and hope. Later, Emily reached out to Jason. Their conversation was honest and healing. Jason acknowledged the risks she'd taken, but also admired her courage and integrity. "You taught me something," he said quietly. "Sometimes, you have to leap before you're ready." The dialogue mended old wounds and opened a path toward renewed trust. Back at the lab, Emily oversaw the transition from prototype to production, ensuring rigorous safety standards and ethical guidelines. She championed education programs and community engagement, determined to share the patent's benefits widely and equitably. The project had become more than technology, it was a mission to inspire and empower. As the patent began to reshape industries, Emily never lost sight of the human story at its core. She understood that progress was a journey, not a destination, and that every breakthrough carried with it a responsibility to nurture the world and its people. The lessons she had learned, about love, sacrifice, and perseverance, became the foundation of her leadership. The story ended not with a final triumph, but with a beginning full of promise. Emily's journey from uncertainty to clarity was a testament to the enduring human spirit, a reminder that even in the face of adversity, hope could light the way forward. And as she stood once more beneath the vast desert sky, she whispered a quiet truth to herself and to the future: the greatest inventions are those born from the heart, guided by love, and sustained by courage. The success of the patent sent shockwaves through global industries, yet the triumph brought with it a fresh set of challenges that Emily hadn't fully anticipated. As the world eagerly awaited the patent's integration into everyday technology, various powerful forces began to push back. Established energy conglomerates saw the new invention as a threat to their decades-old business models. Governments, while fascinated, grew cautious, wary of the geopolitical implications of such disruptive power. In the midst of global excitement, Emily found herself navigating a labyrinth of political, economic, and ethical complexities. One morning, a sharp email from a high-ranking government official landed in her inbox. The message was clear: "We need to discuss the national security risks posed by your technology." It was the first of many diplomatic communications that would force Emily into uncharted territory. Negotiations began behind closed doors, with Emily representing Tesla and the patent's interests. She quickly learned that innovation wasn't only about science and engineering, it was about persuasion, compromise, and vision. The boardroom became a battlefield where industry giants lobbied aggressively against rapid adoption of the patent. Emily was often the lone voice urging transparency and responsible deployment, advocating for a future that balanced progress with caution. At the same time, activist groups intensified their campaigns. They raised valid concerns about environmental impact, resource consumption, and equitable access to the technology. Emily met with leaders of these groups, listening carefully and working to integrate their feedback into development plans. One unexpected ally emerged in Dr. Lena Morales, a renowned environmental scientist who became a vocal supporter after reviewing Tesla's safety protocols. Their collaboration added credibility and helped ease public fears. Internally, Tesla faced its own battles. Some executives pushed for rapid commercialization to capitalize on the patent's potential profits, while others urged patience and rigorous testing. Emily often found herself mediating these tensions, balancing the drive for innovation with the necessity of responsibility. Her leadership was tested daily. Meanwhile, the patent's integration into emerging technologies opened doors to new industries. Electric vehicles powered by the patent's energy systems promised longer ranges and faster charging. Renewable energy sectors explored partnerships to reduce dependence on fossil fuels. Space agencies eyed the technology as a game-changer for interplanetary travel. Emily's role expanded beyond engineering to become a global ambassador for sustainable innovation. Despite the pressure, she remained grounded by memories of her journey, the sacrifices, the setbacks, and the moments of hope. She often recalled Elon's words about the burden of vision and the strength found in community. One night, overwhelmed by the intensity of her responsibilities, Emily called Marcus. His steady voice on the line reminded her of simpler times and renewed her resolve. "You're changing the world," he said quietly. "Don't forget to take care of yourself." The warning was a balm to her frayed nerves. As the patent gained international recognition, Emily faced personal dilemmas as well. The long hours and constant scrutiny strained relationships. Jason remained a source of tension, wary of the risks she embraced. Family gatherings grew awkward, conversations fraught with unspoken worries. Yet, through it all, Emily found small moments of connection, a shared meal with Marcus, a heartfelt apology to Jason, a smile exchanged with Elon during a rare quiet moment. These human bonds became her lifeline. The challenges ahead were vast and complex, but Emily's journey had taught her that progress demanded resilience and heart. She understood that the patent was more than technology, it was a catalyst for change that required careful stewardship. As the sun set over the Nevada desert, painting the sky in fiery hues, Emily looked forward with cautious optimism. The road was uncertain, but her commitment was unwavering. The patent had the power to disrupt entire industries, and perhaps, in time, to reshape the world itself. The whirlwind success of the patent opened doors Emily never imagined, doors to partnerships, collaborations, and new frontiers. But with opportunity came unexpected alliances, and with alliances came the risk of betrayal. One morning, Tesla's legal team received a confidential tip: a major competitor was secretly developing a rival technology, inspired by leaked details of the patent. The news hit Emily like a thunderclap. She realized that the stakes were higher than ever. Trust, she learned, was a fragile currency. As she navigated this new terrain, Emily sought allies beyond the obvious. She reached out to startups specializing in quantum computing, hoping their expertise could fortify Tesla's innovations. A surprising partnership blossomed with Helix Dynamics, a company led by Maya Turner, a brilliant but fiercely independent engineer. Maya's vision complemented Emily's in unexpected ways, and together they forged new strategies to protect and enhance the patent's potential. Yet, not all alliances proved true. Within Tesla, whispers of dissent surfaced. Some team members, frustrated by the project's slow progress and the intense scrutiny, considered defecting to competitors. Emily felt the sting of betrayal from colleagues she had trusted deeply. It was a sobering lesson: innovation was not only about technology but about navigating human complexity. To counter internal risks, Emily strengthened communication channels, fostering transparency and shared purpose. She held open forums where fears could be voiced and addressed, reinforcing the idea that the patent was a collective mission. Meanwhile, external pressures mounted. Regulatory bodies imposed stringent new requirements, fueled by lobbying from entrenched industries threatened by the patent. Emily found herself in a delicate dance, advocating fiercely for the technology's benefits while respecting necessary safeguards. The media spotlight intensified, and public opinion swayed with every headline. A particularly harsh investigative report accused Tesla of hiding safety issues. The article ignited controversy, casting doubt on the project's integrity. Emily responded with calm resolve, inviting independent auditors to verify the technology's safety and releasing detailed reports to the public. Her transparency gradually restored confidence, but the episode left her wary. In the midst of turmoil, personal relationships offered refuge. Elon remained a steadfast supporter, their partnership growing stronger through shared challenges. Marcus provided grounding friendship, reminding her to find balance amid chaos. Even Jason's skepticism softened, replaced by cautious respect. Together, these bonds helped Emily navigate the turbulent waters of progress. As the patent moved closer to commercial deployment, Emily faced a final, unexpected test. A trusted advisor leaked sensitive information to a competitor, risking the project's future. The betrayal cut deep, shaking her belief in the security of her team. But instead of despair, Emily chose action. She worked with legal experts and cybersecurity specialists to identify vulnerabilities and strengthen protections. The incident became a catalyst for renewed vigilance and unity. Through it all, Emily's vision remained clear: the patent was a beacon of hope and possibility. She understood that the path of innovation was fraught with risks, not just technical, but human. The lessons of trust, resilience, and integrity became as vital as the technology itself. As dusk settled over the lab, Emily stood by the window, watching the city lights flicker. The journey was far from over, but she was ready. With allies true and lessons learned, she would guide the patent, and the world, toward a future defined by courage, compassion, and endless possibility. After months of careful development, negotiations, and overcoming setbacks, the day finally arrived when Tesla would unveil the patent to the world in a grand public announcement. Emily stood backstage at the packed auditorium, the hum of anticipation buzzing through the crowd. Reporters, industry leaders, investors, and enthusiasts filled the room, their eyes eager for a glimpse into the future. Elon Musk was scheduled to deliver the keynote, but Emily knew that behind the scenes, the patent represented years of work, sleepless nights, and hard-earned lessons. The announcement was a pivotal moment, not just for Tesla, but for humanity. As Elon stepped onto the stage, the crowd erupted in applause. His presence commanded attention, a blend of visionary zeal and pragmatic confidence. He began by recounting the journey, the initial spark of inspiration, the challenges they faced, the near disasters, and the breakthrough that changed everything. Then came the reveal, a live demonstration of the prototype operating flawlessly, powering a vehicle across the stage with clean, limitless energy. The audience gasped, the magnitude of the moment sinking in. Emily watched, heart pounding, as the patent transitioned from concept to reality before thousands of eyes. Questions flooded the press afterward, about safety, environmental impact, costs, and availability. Emily stepped forward for the Q&A, her calm and candid answers winning respect. She emphasized the careful testing, the ethical guidelines, and the vision for a sustainable future. The patent was not just a technical marvel but a promise of transformation. The world's reaction was swift and intense. Stock markets soared as investors bet on Tesla's future. Governments scrambled to understand the implications, some eager to collaborate, others wary of disruption. Traditional energy companies launched counter-campaigns, warning of economic upheaval. Public discourse ignited across social media, forums, and communities. Emily found herself in the eye of a global conversation that extended far beyond technology. The patent sparked hope for cleaner energy and economic revitalization but also fears about job losses and inequality. Emily worked tirelessly to address concerns, traveling to international summits and engaging diverse stakeholders. She championed policies that encouraged responsible adoption, workforce retraining, and environmental protections. Back home, the patent's rollout sparked innovation waves. Startups and established companies alike rushed to integrate the technology into everything from transportation to manufacturing. Tesla's partners included electric car makers, solar companies, and even aerospace firms exploring next-generation propulsion. Emily's leadership grew beyond engineering into diplomacy and advocacy. Her ability to balance optimism with realism won praise and forged unexpected alliances. Yet the path was not without challenges. Supply chains struggled to keep pace with demand, and technical glitches occasionally arose during scaling. Critics remained vigilant, scrutinizing every step. Emily met setbacks with determination, turning obstacles into opportunities for learning and improvement. Amid the whirlwind, personal moments grounded her. A quiet dinner with Marcus reminded her of the importance of balance. A heartfelt conversation with Jason healed old wounds and rebuilt trust. Elon's support was a constant source of strength and inspiration. As the patent became part of daily life, Emily reflected on how far she had come, from the uncertain engineer grappling with doubt to a leader shaping the future. The technology was no longer just a patent, it was a catalyst for change, a symbol of humanity's ability to imagine and build a better world. Looking ahead, Emily understood that the journey of innovation was ongoing. New challenges would arise, and the story of progress would continue to unfold. But the patent's public debut marked a milestone, a declaration that the future was here, full of promise and possibility. Under the bright lights of that historic day, Emily felt a profound sense of purpose. The road had been long and winding, but the destination was worth every sacrifice. The patent was a beacon lighting the way forward, a testament to resilience, vision, and the enduring power of hope. With the patent publicly unveiled, the ripple effects began to spread across the globe, faster and more powerful than anyone had anticipated. Countries started racing to integrate the technology, each eager to claim a stake in the new era it promised. Energy grids were rapidly retrofitted, transportation systems redesigned, and manufacturing processes revolutionized. Emily watched as the invention she had nurtured took on a life of its own, sparking waves of innovation and disruption that transcended borders. In Europe, governments unveiled ambitious plans to replace coal and nuclear plants with energy powered by the new patent. Public transportation transformed almost overnight, buses, trains, and even airplanes equipped with the technology drastically reduced carbon footprints. Asia's manufacturing hubs adapted quickly, integrating the patent to reduce energy costs and improve efficiency. In Africa, entrepreneurs leveraged the technology to power remote communities, unlocking opportunities previously thought impossible. Yet, this swift global adoption was not without friction. Nations debated intellectual property rights, with some accusing Tesla and the US of attempting to monopolize the future. Trade negotiations became heated, and Emily found herself involved in delicate international diplomacy. She met with policymakers, business leaders, and activists to navigate the complex landscape of global equity and access. The challenge was immense: how to ensure the technology served all humanity, not just the privileged few. Meanwhile, industries built around fossil fuels faced existential crises. Massive layoffs rocked coal mines and oil fields. Unions protested, demanding retraining programs and government support. Emily felt the weight of these consequences deeply. She pushed Tesla and partner companies to fund education initiatives and create pathways for workers to transition into emerging sectors. The tension between progress and preservation was palpable. Media outlets painted contrasting pictures: some hailed the patent as the dawn of a new golden age, others warned of societal upheaval and ethical dilemmas. Emily engaged with journalists and thought leaders, urging nuanced conversations that balanced optimism with realism. Within Tesla, the company expanded rapidly. New research teams formed to explore next-generation applications, from space travel to medical devices. Emily's role evolved, blending technical leadership with advocacy and mentorship. She prioritized building a culture that valued innovation, empathy, and responsibility. At home, Emily's personal life remained a delicate balance. The relentless pace left little room for rest, but she treasured moments with Marcus and family. Conversations with Jason grew more open and supportive, healing old wounds. Elon's partnership was a steadying force, reminding her that vision required both daring and compassion. As the patent's influence spread, so did its potential for unintended consequences. Environmentalists warned about rare material shortages needed for manufacturing. Security experts raised concerns about new vulnerabilities in energy infrastructure. Political analysts debated the shifting balance of global power. Emily welcomed these debates, believing they were essential to responsible stewardship. She convened forums and councils, bringing diverse voices together to address emerging challenges. The journey of the patent was far from over. It was a living, evolving story of human creativity and complexity. Emily embraced the uncertainty, knowing that the path of innovation was a continuous dance between risk and reward, hope and caution. As she looked out over the glowing cityscape from Tesla's rooftop, Emily felt a profound sense of gratitude and resolve. The patent was more than a breakthrough, it was a call to action, a reminder that the future belonged to those willing to dream boldly and act wisely. The world was changing, and Emily was at the heart of its transformation, ready to guide it with courage, wisdom, and an unshakable belief in the power of human ingenuity. As the patent spread globally and began to reshape industries, Emily found herself confronting a deeper and more complex challenge: the ethical implications of the technology she had helped bring to life. What had started as a dream to revolutionize energy and transportation had become a tangled web of moral questions that stretched far beyond engineering. One afternoon, during a routine strategy meeting, a startling report arrived. A country with a questionable human rights record had begun using the patent technology in ways that raised serious ethical concerns. The technology was powering surveillance drones, enhancing military capabilities in a way that could threaten civilian populations. Emily's heart sank. The patent she had hoped would serve humanity was now entwined with potential harm. The realization hit hard: innovation was never neutral. Every invention carried the risk of misuse, and it was their responsibility to anticipate and mitigate those risks. She convened an emergency meeting with Tesla's ethics committee and external advisors. The conversation was tense and urgent. How could they enforce ethical use of the patent? What mechanisms could prevent abuse without stifling innovation? Governments were reluctant to impose strict regulations, citing sovereignty and economic interests. Public opinion was divided: some called for immediate bans, others feared hindering progress. Emily found herself in the eye of a global debate, balancing the demands of freedom, security, and humanity. She began working with international organizations to draft a framework for ethical technology deployment. The process was slow and fraught with compromise, but necessary. Emily believed transparency was key, and Tesla published detailed guidelines for partners and users, emphasizing responsible application and accountability. Internally, the ethical dilemma sparked soul-searching among the engineering teams. Some questioned their roles in enabling technologies with potential dual uses, both beneficial and destructive. Emily held open forums to discuss these concerns, fostering a culture of reflection and integrity. She also sought advice from ethicists, philosophers, and activists, expanding her understanding beyond the technical realm. Meanwhile, the media spotlight intensified. Documentaries and opinion pieces questioned the patent's impact, exposing cases of misuse and raising alarms about surveillance, privacy, and military escalation. Emily faced harsh criticism, but also voices of support from those who saw the technology as a force for good when guided by strong ethics. Personal pressures mounted as well. The ethical challenges weighed heavily on Emily's conscience. She questioned whether the sacrifices she had made were worth the risks. Conversations with Marcus became her refuge, a place where she could share doubts and renew hope. Elon encouraged her to see the bigger picture, the potential to shape global norms and inspire responsible innovation. Gradually, Emily's perspective deepened. She understood that the journey of technology was intertwined with the journey of humanity itself, full of contradictions and possibilities. The ethical dilemma was not a problem to be solved once and for all, but a continuous challenge to be navigated with humility and courage. Tesla established an independent oversight board, including global experts, to monitor the patent's use and advise on ethical issues. Emily championed education programs to raise awareness about the technology's implications, empowering users and policymakers to make informed decisions. The patent had become more than a technical marvel, it was a catalyst for dialogue about the future of technology and ethics. As Emily reflected on the path ahead, she realized that the true measure of innovation was not just what it could do, but how it was wielded. The responsibility lay not only in creation, but in stewardship. Standing on the rooftop once again, gazing at the stars, Emily whispered a quiet vow: to lead with conscience, to listen with empathy, and to guide with unwavering integrity. The future was uncertain, but with courage and care, it could be bright. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? The growing ethical debates, international scrutiny, and internal pressures marked a critical juncture in the patent's journey. Emily understood that this was a turning point, not just for Tesla, but for the future of innovation itself. The technology that promised to revolutionize entire industries also had the power to reshape society's values and priorities. As tensions escalated, Emily decided it was time to take bold, decisive action. She proposed the creation of a global coalition, an unprecedented alliance of governments, corporations, NGOs, and scientists, all committed to guiding the patent's development responsibly. The proposal was met with skepticism from many quarters. Some viewed it as naive idealism. Others feared loss of control or competitive advantage. Emily, however, was undeterred. She traveled tirelessly, attending summits and meetings across continents, making her case with passion and clarity. Slowly, support grew. The coalition began to take shape, focusing on establishing shared principles, oversight mechanisms, and equitable access to the technology. It was a fragile but hopeful step toward global cooperation in the face of disruptive change. Back at Tesla, the patent team redoubled efforts to enhance safety features and transparency. New innovations were integrated to track and audit technology usage, providing tools to detect misuse. Emily championed open communication and community involvement, believing that trust could only be earned through honesty and engagement. The coalition launched pilot programs in diverse regions, combining technological deployment with social and environmental initiatives. In developing nations, the patent powered schools, hospitals, and clean water systems, demonstrating tangible benefits. These successes helped shift the narrative from fear to possibility. Meanwhile, Emily faced personal crossroads. The relentless pace and high stakes took a toll on her well-being and relationships. Marcus encouraged her to find balance, reminding her that leadership also meant self-care. She began carving out time for reflection, meditation, and simple joys. Conversations with Jason became more frequent and meaningful, healing old wounds and building new bonds. Elon's mentorship evolved into partnership, with shared visions for sustainable innovation. Despite the progress, setbacks occurred. Political conflicts and economic interests continued to challenge coalition efforts. Cybersecurity threats and misinformation campaigns sought to undermine trust. Emily met each obstacle with resilience and adaptability, drawing on lessons learned from earlier trials. She fostered a culture of learning within Tesla and the coalition, encouraging innovation not only in technology but in governance and collaboration. The turning point was more than a moment, it was a process of transformation, of ideas, systems, and hearts. Emily realized that the patent's true potential lay not just in disrupting industries, but in inspiring new ways of thinking about responsibility and connection. As she stood once again on the rooftop, watching the sunrise over the city, Emily felt a profound sense of renewal. The path ahead was still uncertain, but with courage, vision, and unity, the future could be shaped for the better. The turning point had arrived, and Emily was ready to lead the way. As the global coalition began to gain momentum, Emily soon realized that innovation, no matter how promising, often encounters fierce resistance. The patent's disruptive potential threatened not only established industries but also entrenched power structures resistant to change. This resistance manifested in unexpected and sometimes aggressive ways, challenging Emily's leadership and resolve. One of the first major flashpoints came from the energy sector. Traditional oil and gas companies, facing steep losses as the patent technology cut demand for fossil fuels, launched coordinated campaigns to discredit Tesla and the coalition. They funded think tanks producing studies questioning the patent's safety and feasibility. Lobbyists pressured governments to slow adoption through regulatory hurdles. In some regions, protests erupted, fueled by misinformation and fear of job losses. Emily watched as the media battlefield grew increasingly hostile. Headlines questioned the patent's environmental impact, suggesting rare mineral extraction for manufacturing might cause harm. Public opinion, once overwhelmingly positive, began to fracture. The resistance wasn't just external. Within Tesla and partner organizations, some employees grew skeptical about the patent's direction and the coalition's priorities. Some argued for a faster rollout, others for more caution. Tensions simmered in meetings, threatening team cohesion. Emily took these challenges seriously, recognizing that resistance often comes from legitimate fears as well as vested interests. She convened listening sessions, inviting critics and supporters alike to voice concerns and propose solutions. Transparency became a cornerstone of her approach. She encouraged open dialogue, knowing that resistance could be a catalyst for growth if handled with empathy and openness. Strategically, Emily and the coalition responded with a multi-pronged approach. They launched educational campaigns to combat misinformation, highlighting real-world benefits and safety records. Partnerships with community leaders helped build grassroots support. Investment in workforce retraining programs addressed fears of unemployment, demonstrating a commitment to inclusive progress. Emily also embraced innovation to address environmental concerns, funding research into sustainable material sourcing and recycling programs. These efforts gradually shifted the narrative, but resistance remained a persistent undercurrent. Politically, Emily navigated a complex landscape. Some governments embraced the patent enthusiastically, seeing it as a path to economic revitalization and environmental leadership. Others remained wary, balancing national interests and pressure from traditional industries. Trade disputes and diplomatic negotiations became part of the ongoing effort to promote responsible adoption. Amid the turbulence, Emily's leadership matured. She learned to balance idealism with pragmatism, to listen without losing sight of vision, and to stand firm while adapting to new realities. Her ability to unite diverse stakeholders through shared values and mutual respect became a defining strength. Personally, the strain of resistance took its toll. Sleepless nights and relentless scrutiny tested her resilience. Yet moments of breakthrough, an inspiring speech, a successful pilot project, a grateful community, rekindled her passion. Marcus's unwavering support remained her anchor. The resistance ultimately underscored a vital truth: innovation was not just about technology but about people, fear, hope, identity, and change. Emily embraced this complexity, committed to guiding the patent's journey with courage, compassion, and wisdom. As she looked toward the horizon, Emily knew the path ahead would demand perseverance and heart. The clash between innovation and resistance was inevitable, but within it lay the seeds of transformation. The patent was more than a breakthrough, it was a story of humanity learning to evolve, together. Despite the ongoing resistance and complex challenges facing the patent, Emily discovered that true innovation often blossoms in unexpected places. While the world's major powers wrestled with political, economic, and ethical debates, small communities and independent innovators began harnessing the patent technology in creative and transformative ways. One such place was Cedarville, a modest town nestled in the American Midwest, struggling with economic decline after the closure of its coal mines. Local leaders, inspired by the new technology, partnered with Tesla's outreach program to pilot a community energy project powered by the patent. The project promised to bring clean, affordable power to Cedarville, revitalizing the town and offering hope to its residents. Emily visited Cedarville with a mix of curiosity and hope. Walking through the streets, she felt the palpable yearning for change. Families shared stories of hardship, of jobs lost and futures uncertain, yet there was a growing sense of optimism sparked by the pilot project. The local school's new energy system was already cutting costs, and the installation of patent-powered vehicles was creating new employment opportunities. Emily met with Mayor Linda Hayes, a pragmatic yet visionary leader who had championed the project despite skepticism. Their conversations revealed how the patent technology, when combined with community engagement and tailored solutions, could overcome barriers that seemed insurmountable in larger, more complex settings. Inspired by Cedarville's progress, Emily pushed Tesla to expand similar initiatives globally, adapting technology deployments to fit local cultures and needs rather than imposing a one-size-fits-all model. Around the same time, independent innovators began tinkering with the patent's applications. In a small garage in California, a group of young engineers developed a prototype device that used the patent's principles to purify water in arid regions. In rural India, farmers adapted the technology to power irrigation systems, boosting crop yields and food security. These grassroots innovations illustrated the patent's versatility and potential beyond initial expectations. Emily fostered platforms to connect these innovators with resources and expertise, recognizing that breakthroughs often emerge from collaboration and diversity of thought. The narrative around the patent started to shift from fear and resistance to inspiration and empowerment. Stories of individuals and communities reclaiming their futures circulated widely, rekindling public enthusiasm. Even critics acknowledged the technology's tangible benefits when deployed thoughtfully. This turning tide reinvigorated Emily and her team. They saw that their work was not just about transforming industries but about transforming lives. The patent had become a catalyst for creativity and resilience, a tool for addressing humanity's most pressing challenges at every scale. Yet, Emily remained mindful that these successes were part of an ongoing journey. The patent's widespread impact brought new questions about equity, sustainability, and long-term effects. She continued to advocate for vigilance, responsibility, and inclusive dialogue. As she stood once more on Tesla's rooftop, looking out over the city lights blending with the stars, Emily felt a renewed sense of purpose. Innovation, she realized, was a collective endeavor, enriched by unexpected voices and places. The breakthrough she had sought was unfolding not just in laboratories and boardrooms, but in the hearts and hands of people around the world. The future was being built from the ground up, and Emily was honored to help light the way. As the patent continued to transform industries and communities worldwide, Emily began to confront the deeply personal costs of the relentless pace and immense pressure. The public spotlight, ethical battles, and constant demands for innovation weighed heavily on her, seeping into every aspect of her life. Late nights at Tesla headquarters blurred into early mornings. The phone calls never stopped, government officials, corporate partners, coalition members, all seeking her input, her decisions, her leadership. Marcus noticed the growing distance between them. Conversations that once flowed easily now felt strained and rushed. The exhaustion etched lines of worry on Emily's face, a visible sign of battles fought behind closed doors. One evening, after a particularly grueling day filled with crisis meetings and media scrutiny, Emily returned home to find Marcus waiting, his expression a mix of concern and love. He gently urged her to slow down, to take time for herself, reminding her that her health and well-being were vital to the work she cared so deeply about. For the first time in months, Emily allowed herself to listen. She realized that the personal sacrifices she had made were beginning to erode the very foundation that supported her. Memories of her early struggles, the lonely nights, the sacrifices made to pursue her dreams, surfaced with fresh intensity. She understood that without balance, the journey she had embarked on risked consuming her entirely. Determined to reclaim some semblance of equilibrium, Emily began setting boundaries. She delegated more responsibilities to trusted team members, allowing herself moments of rest and reflection. Yoga and meditation became part of her routine, small acts of self-care amid chaos. She reconnected with Jason, whose steady presence and shared history offered comfort and perspective. At Tesla, she fostered a culture that recognized the importance of mental health and work-life balance, encouraging employees to prioritize well-being alongside productivity. Despite these efforts, the challenges persisted. The weight of global expectations was unrelenting. Each setback felt personal, each victory bittersweet. Emily grappled with feelings of isolation, even as she stood at the forefront of a technological revolution. Yet within this struggle, she discovered new depths of strength. Vulnerability became a source of connection rather than weakness. Conversations with Marcus grew more honest and supportive. Friends and colleagues rallied around her, reminding her she was not alone. Through this personal crucible, Emily's leadership evolved. She learned that true strength included knowing when to seek help and how to inspire others through authenticity. The patent's journey mirrored her own, a story not only of innovation and impact but of resilience, sacrifice, and renewal. As she gazed out at the city skyline, Emily recognized that the personal cost was part of the price of change, but it need not define the future. With renewed resolve, she embraced a vision of leadership rooted in compassion and balance, ready to face the road ahead with heart and hope. Just as Emily felt the steady rhythm of progress settling in, a new and unexpected challenge appeared on the horizon, a rival technology backed by powerful interests that threatened to undermine the patent's momentum. The rival invention, developed by a rising tech company called Novacore, claimed to offer a different approach to sustainable energy and transportation. Where Tesla's patent relied on a revolutionary energy conversion process, Novacore promoted a modular system promising rapid deployment and lower upfront costs. The announcement sent shockwaves through the industry. Media outlets quickly seized the story, fueling debates over which technology was truly the future. Investors shifted their attention, and governments reconsidered partnerships. Emily knew that this rivalry could either spur further innovation or ignite damaging competition that fractured the global coalition's fragile unity. Determined to understand Novacore's technology, Emily led a specialized team to analyze its mechanics and implications. They discovered that while Novacore's system had advantages in speed and cost, it lacked some of the long-term efficiency and sustainability features of Tesla's patent. Yet the simplicity and modularity appealed to many stakeholders seeking quick solutions. Public opinion became divided. Some viewed Novacore as the pragmatic choice for immediate needs, while others remained loyal to Tesla's visionary approach. The rivalry intensified as Novacore launched aggressive marketing campaigns and lobbying efforts, positioning itself as the champion of accessible innovation. Emily faced tough questions from coalition members and the media about Tesla's response strategy. Should they collaborate, compete, or seek compromise? Behind the scenes, tensions simmered. Novacore's CEO, a charismatic entrepreneur named Marcus Reed, publicly challenged Emily and Tesla's leadership, accusing them of elitism and slow progress. The clash became personal, with debates spilling into social media and industry forums. Emily grappled with the pressure to protect Tesla's legacy while staying true to the coalition's principles of cooperation and shared progress. She reached out to Marcus Reed, proposing a dialogue to explore common ground. Their initial meetings were cautious but civil, revealing mutual respect despite competing visions. Both recognized the urgency of addressing global challenges and the potential benefits of combining strengths. Over months of negotiations, Emily and Marcus worked to establish a framework for collaboration, focusing on complementary deployment strategies and shared research initiatives. The effort was delicate, requiring transparency and trust-building amid skepticism from their teams and stakeholders. The rivalry evolved into a partnership that expanded the reach and impact of sustainable technologies worldwide. Yet the process was not without setbacks. Disagreements over intellectual property, resource allocation, and public messaging required patience and compromise. Through this experience, Emily deepened her understanding of leadership in a complex, interconnected world. The emergence of a new rival reminded her that innovation thrived not in isolation, but through challenge, dialogue, and collaboration. As she stood on Tesla's rooftop once again, watching the city pulse with energy, Emily felt a renewed commitment to fostering unity amidst diversity. The future was not a single path but a network of possibilities, shaped by competition and cooperation alike. The patent's journey was far from over, but with resilience and openness, Emily believed humanity could navigate the evolving landscape and build a better tomorrow together. As the collaboration between Tesla and Novacore began to take shape, Emily witnessed firsthand the profound global impact of the patent and its associated technologies. The alliance unlocked new possibilities, accelerating adoption and inspiring innovations across continents, cultures, and economies. The ripple effects extended far beyond energy and transportation, touching areas such as healthcare, agriculture, and education. In remote villages in sub-Saharan Africa, patent-powered microgrids brought reliable electricity for the first time, transforming daily life. Clinics equipped with advanced diagnostic tools operated uninterrupted, dramatically improving patient outcomes. Children who once studied by candlelight now accessed digital learning platforms, opening doors to knowledge and opportunity. In Southeast Asia, farmers adopted patent-driven irrigation systems that increased crop yields and conserved water, helping communities withstand climate change impacts. Local entrepreneurs used the technology to create new businesses, fostering economic growth and resilience. Urban centers across Europe integrated patent-powered infrastructure, reducing pollution and traffic congestion while enhancing quality of life. Public transit systems became more efficient and affordable, and smart grids balanced energy demand with sustainability goals. Emily traveled extensively to witness these transformations, meeting people whose lives had been changed in tangible and meaningful ways. Each encounter deepened her sense of purpose and responsibility. Yet the global impact also revealed persistent inequalities and challenges. Access to technology remained uneven, and geopolitical tensions occasionally threatened cooperation. Emily worked closely with international organizations to promote inclusive policies, ensuring that the benefits of innovation reached marginalized and vulnerable populations. She advocated for education and capacity-building programs to empower communities to harness the technology effectively and ethically. The coalition expanded to include diverse voices, from indigenous leaders to youth activists, embracing a holistic approach to progress. Meanwhile, scientific research inspired by the patent flourished. New applications emerged in medical devices, environmental monitoring, and space exploration. Collaborative projects linked universities, startups, and governments, creating vibrant ecosystems of creativity and discovery. Emily's vision of responsible innovation as a collective journey was coming to life. The media narrative shifted toward stories of hope and possibility, highlighting human ingenuity and solidarity. Documentaries and social campaigns showcased successes and ongoing efforts, inspiring wider engagement and support. Amid this global momentum, Emily remained grounded by the lessons of resistance, ethical dilemmas, and personal sacrifice. She understood that impact was not only measured in technological milestones but in the lives touched and communities strengthened. The patent had become a symbol of what humanity could achieve when curiosity, courage, and care converged. As Emily stood on the rooftop overlooking the city that had witnessed so much change, she reflected on the intertwined destinies of technology and humanity. The patent's journey was a testament to the power of innovation to disrupt, heal, and unite. The global impact was not the end, but a milestone on an ongoing path toward a better, more connected world. With humility and hope, Emily embraced the future, ready to face whatever challenges and opportunities awaited, knowing that together, they could shape a brighter tomorrow. As the patent's influence spread across the globe, Emily found herself increasingly confronted by profound ethical dilemmas that challenged her beliefs and the very foundations of the coalition she helped build. The revolutionary technology that had the potential to solve some of the world's greatest problems also raised complex questions about privacy, equity, and unintended consequences. In boardrooms, scientific conferences, and public forums, debates raged over how to balance innovation with responsibility. One of the most contentious issues involved data privacy. The patent's advanced systems collected vast amounts of information to optimize energy use and improve efficiency, but this raised concerns about surveillance and consent. Activists and civil rights groups called for stringent safeguards to protect individuals from misuse or exploitation. Emily took these concerns seriously, commissioning independent audits and strengthening transparency protocols. She worked with ethicists and technologists to develop frameworks that prioritized user control and data minimization. The coalition established an ethics advisory council, bringing together experts from diverse fields to oversee the technology's deployment and address emerging challenges proactively. Equity was another critical crossroads. Despite efforts to promote inclusive access, disparities persisted. Wealthier nations and corporations often had greater ability to leverage the patent's advantages, risking deepening global inequalities. Indigenous communities and marginalized groups sometimes faced exclusion or disruption without adequate consultation or benefit. Emily advocated for reparative initiatives and community-led decision-making, emphasizing that true progress required justice as well as innovation. The coalition launched funding programs and partnerships focused on empowering underrepresented voices and fostering local leadership. Unintended consequences also surfaced. The rapid adoption of patent-powered automation led to job displacements in certain sectors, stirring social unrest and economic uncertainty. Emily pushed for robust transition plans, including education and retraining programs to prepare workers for emerging industries. She engaged policymakers to craft thoughtful regulations that balanced innovation with social stability. One of the most emotionally charged moments came when a major incident involving the misuse of patent technology triggered a public outcry. A hack led to temporary power outages in a metropolitan area, causing disruption and fear. Though the coalition's systems ultimately contained the breach, the event underscored vulnerabilities and the need for vigilance. Emily publicly took responsibility, reaffirming the commitment to safety and continuous improvement. These challenges forced Emily to reflect deeply on her role as a leader and the limits of technology. She realized that while innovation could create tools for change, it was human values, ethics, and community that must guide their use. The patent story was no longer just about disruption and progress, it was a test of humanity's capacity for wisdom and compassion. In conversations with coalition members and global leaders, Emily emphasized the importance of humility, transparency, and shared accountability. She recognized that no single entity or individual could control the future alone, it required collective stewardship. As she stood once again on Tesla's rooftop, Emily felt the weight and honor of this responsibility. The ethical crossroads was a defining moment, not just for the patent, but for the vision of a better world. With courage and resolve, she embraced the challenge, committed to navigating complexity with integrity. The journey ahead would demand not only innovation but conscience, not only ambition but empathy. The patent was a powerful tool, but it was humanity's choices that would ultimately shape its legacy. After years of relentless effort, public scrutiny, and complex challenges, Emily reached what felt like a turning point in the journey of the patent and its impact on the world. The innovations born from Elon Musk's newest patent had reshaped industries, communities, and lives, but the true test was whether these transformations would endure and deepen. This chapter of the story was defined by moments of breakthrough and reflection, as well as an inspiring sense of renewed momentum. It began with the launch of a landmark initiative called Project Horizon, a global collaboration aimed at scaling the patent technology in ways that prioritized sustainability, equity, and resilience. Project Horizon brought together governments, corporations, NGOs, and local communities to create interconnected networks of clean energy, advanced transportation, and smart infrastructure. Emily saw it as the culmination of years of hard work and vision, but also as the beginning of a new phase, one where the collective power of many could amplify the patent's promise. The initiative featured pilot programs in diverse regions, from sprawling megacities to rural villages, showcasing how tailored approaches could address unique needs and challenges. In New York City, for instance, patent-powered electric buses revolutionized public transit, reducing emissions and improving accessibility. In a small town in Guatemala, solar microgrids powered schools and health clinics, transforming education and healthcare access. Throughout these projects, Emily emphasized local engagement and leadership, ensuring that communities shaped their own futures rather than being passive recipients. The impact was profound and visible, rekindling hope in places that had faced despair. Around this time, Emily also participated in a high-profile summit where world leaders and innovators gathered to discuss the future of sustainable technology. She delivered a keynote address that resonated widely, articulating a vision of progress rooted in collaboration, compassion, and continuous learning. Her words inspired renewed commitment across sectors and borders. Yet even as Project Horizon soared, Emily remained mindful of ongoing challenges. Economic and political uncertainties, climate crises, and technological risks continued to test the coalition's resilience. She encouraged adaptive strategies and humility, acknowledging that no solution was perfect or permanent. The patent's journey was a living story, evolving, imperfect, and human. On a personal level, Emily found balance between ambition and reflection. She carved out moments to connect with Marcus, friends, and herself, recognizing that sustained leadership required renewal. She celebrated milestones with her team, honoring the collective effort that made progress possible. The turning point was not a destination but a state of renewed energy and perspective. It was a reminder that change unfolds over time, shaped by countless decisions and relationships. As Emily looked out over the cityscape from Tesla's rooftop, the lights below symbolized not just technology, but lives transformed and possibilities awakened. The patent was no longer a solitary invention but a movement, a testament to what humanity could achieve when vision met perseverance and heart. With resolve and hope, Emily prepared to guide this movement forward, ready for whatever challenges and opportunities the future would bring. The journey that began with a revolutionary patent had transformed far more than industries. It had changed lives, communities, and even the way humanity viewed innovation and progress. As Emily stood on the rooftop of Tesla's headquarters one last time, the city spread beneath her like a web of light and possibility. The challenges she had faced, the resistance, the ethical dilemmas, the rivalries, and the personal sacrifices, were all threads woven into a larger tapestry of change. She thought back to the early days when the patent was little more than a bold idea, met with skepticism and fear. Now, it had become a beacon of hope for millions around the world. The coalition Emily had helped build had matured into a global movement focused not just on technological advancement, but on responsibility, equity, and human dignity. The Project Horizon initiative continued to flourish, and its pilot programs had expanded exponentially, touching diverse populations and creating sustainable ecosystems. The innovations spurred by the patent were no longer confined to energy and transportation. They had seeded breakthroughs in healthcare, education, and environmental restoration. More importantly, the movement embraced the voices of communities historically marginalized in tech conversations, ensuring that progress was truly inclusive. Emily's personal growth mirrored this evolution. She had learned the indispensable value of empathy, humility, and resilience. She had come to understand that leadership was less about control and more about service, about fostering collaboration and nurturing shared vision. Her relationships, once strained by the demands of the mission, had deepened into bonds of trust and mutual support. Marcus had become not only a partner in life but a steadfast ally in purpose. As Emily prepared to pass the baton to a new generation of innovators and leaders, she reflected on the lessons the journey had taught her. Life, she realized, was full of surprises, but love and connection would always lead the way. Technology alone could not solve the world's problems, only people, working together with compassion and courage, could. The final public event of the patent's rollout was a global symposium, broadcast to millions. Emily's closing address was heartfelt and inspiring. She spoke of the power of dreams grounded in reality, the strength found in vulnerability, and the infinite potential of humanity united by a shared mission. The audience, from world leaders to young students, responded with hope and determination. The story that began with a question, "What if you suddenly lost everything and had no one by your side?" had found its answer in community and perseverance. Emily encouraged everyone watching to find their own thing that pushes them forward when times get tough, reminding them to hit subscribe and share their stories. As the event concluded, Emily felt a deep sense of peace. The patent's journey was far from over, but it had reached a milestone of meaning and impact. The future was still unwritten, and that was the greatest adventure of all. In the quiet moments after the symposium, Emily stood looking out at the horizon, the sun rising on a new day. She knew the work would continue, challenges would persist, but with lessons learned and hearts united, humanity was ready. The patent had disrupted industries, yes, but more importantly, it had ignited a movement of hope and transformation. Life was full of surprises, but love, connection, and courage would always light the way forward. Even as the global movement inspired by Elon Musk's newest patent settled into its stride, Emily knew the story was far from over. The world was changing faster than ever, and new frontiers awaited exploration, both technological and human. This chapter marked a turning point not just for the patent, but for Emily's vision of what innovation could truly mean in the 21st century. The patent had already transformed energy, transportation, healthcare, and education, but Emily saw a deeper opportunity emerging, to leverage technology not simply to disrupt, but to heal. She began working closely with neuroscientists and psychologists to explore how the patent's energy conversion principles could apply to human cognition and mental health. The idea was revolutionary. Could the technology power devices that enhanced brain function, improved emotional well-being, or even helped treat mental illness? The collaboration was a leap into uncharted territory, blending cutting-edge physics with the complexities of the human mind. Early trials showed promise. Prototype neurostimulation devices powered by the patent's energy systems demonstrated potential to improve memory retention, reduce anxiety, and accelerate healing after trauma. The implications were staggering. If successful, the technology could redefine how society approached mental health care, shifting from reactive treatment to proactive enhancement. Emily felt a surge of excitement but also deep responsibility. The ethical stakes were immense. How to ensure the technology was safe, equitable, and respectful of individual autonomy. How to prevent misuse or coercion. The lessons learned from previous chapters guided her. Transparency, inclusive dialogue, and a strong ethical framework would be essential. Meanwhile, the social impact of the patent continued to expand. In education, schools worldwide integrated patent-powered virtual reality systems, immersing students in interactive, personalized learning environments. Children in remote areas could explore the depths of the ocean or the surface of Mars from their classrooms. This new era of experiential education opened doors of imagination and possibility like never before. In urban centers, smart cities evolved with patent-driven infrastructure, buildings that self-regulated energy use, streets that adapted to pedestrian and vehicle flow, and public spaces that fostered community and well-being. These developments not only reduced environmental footprints but also nurtured healthier, happier populations. Emily's vision was becoming reality, but she never lost sight of the challenges. The rapid pace of change fueled anxiety and resistance in some quarters. Privacy concerns, fears of technological dependence, and cultural tensions persisted. Emily and the coalition doubled down on public engagement efforts, hosting forums, workshops, and digital platforms to foster dialogue and understanding. She believed that innovation thrived not only on invention but on connection. On a personal level, Emily embraced new dimensions of balance and reflection. Her work with Marcus deepened, and together they explored mindfulness, nature, and the arts as sources of inspiration and renewal. Emily took time to mentor young innovators, encouraging them to think beyond profit and disruption toward purpose and empathy. One defining moment came when Emily visited a rehabilitation center where patent-powered neurotechnology was helping veterans recover from traumatic brain injuries. She witnessed firsthand the profound impact, the hope restored, the lives rebuilt. The experience reinforced her belief that technology's greatest power lay in its ability to uplift and heal. As the sun set over the city skyline, Emily contemplated the journey beyond the horizon. The patent was no longer just a disruptive force but a beacon guiding humanity toward a future where technology and humanity were intertwined in harmony. The challenges ahead were daunting, but so was the potential for transformation. She felt ready to lead this next chapter, with courage, compassion, and a relentless commitment to the greater good. The story of Elon Musk's newest patent was still being written, a living testament to what happens when vision meets heart, when innovation serves humanity, and when hope lights the way beyond the horizon. As Emily watched the sun dip below the horizon, casting golden hues over the city skyline, she felt a profound sense of closure and new beginnings. The patent that had sparked a global revolution in technology was now entering a new phase, one that was less about invention and more about legacy. Years of innovation, collaboration, and perseverance had brought the world to a remarkable crossroads. The patent had not only disrupted entire industries but had inspired a cultural shift toward responsible innovation and shared progress. Emily reflected on her personal journey, from the early days filled with doubt and resistance, to the moment when the patent's impact blossomed into a worldwide movement. The challenges had been immense: ethical dilemmas, political opposition, and personal sacrifices, but the rewards were immeasurable. She thought about the lives touched and transformed. Communities that gained access to clean energy, children whose education was revolutionized, patients whose health improved, and societies that embraced a more sustainable and equitable future. The legacy of the patent was not just in the technology itself but in the way it reshaped how humanity approached problem-solving and collaboration. Emily had come to understand that true innovation required humility, empathy, and a willingness to listen as much as to lead. She had learned that technology was a tool, but people, diverse, complex, and resilient, were the heart of change. Looking ahead, Emily envisioned a future where the principles forged during the patent's journey would guide new generations of innovators. She committed to establishing a foundation dedicated to education, ethical research, and community empowerment. This foundation would serve as a living repository of knowledge and a catalyst for positive change. Emily also recognized the importance of storytelling in preserving legacy. She worked with filmmakers, writers, and educators to share the story of the patent's journey, its triumphs and trials alike, to inspire others to dream boldly and act responsibly. As part of this mission, Emily encouraged open dialogue and inclusivity, believing that the greatest innovations emerge from diverse perspectives and shared purpose. The patent had also sparked unforeseen ripple effects in art, culture, and philosophy. Musicians composed symphonies inspired by the harmony of energy and technology, artists created installations that celebrated human connection in a digital age, philosophers pondered new definitions of progress and meaning. Emily welcomed these expressions as vital reflections of society's evolving relationship with technology. On a personal note, Emily felt a renewed sense of balance and fulfillment. She spent more time with Marcus, exploring nature, traveling, and savoring simple moments often overlooked in the rush of innovation. She mentored young leaders, encouraging them to embrace curiosity and courage. The journey had shaped her, but she was also ready to step back and watch the seeds she planted grow in new and unexpected ways. In the final moments of this chapter, Emily stood before a crowd gathered for the inauguration of a community center powered by the patent's technology, an emblem of hope and resilience. She shared a heartfelt message: life is full of surprises, but love and courage will always light the way. Innovation is not just about what we create, but why we create it. Let us carry forward this legacy with humility, kindness, and a relentless spirit of discovery. As applause filled the air, Emily felt the weight of history and the promise of the future intertwined. The patent's journey had reached a meaningful pause, but its story, and humanity's story, was far from over. New challenges and opportunities awaited beyond the horizon, ready to be met with vision, heart, and unwavering hope. Just as the world seemed to be settling into a hopeful rhythm following the patent's monumental achievements, an unexpected challenge emerged, one that threatened to disrupt everything Emily and her coalition had worked tirelessly to build. The challenge wasn't technological, economic, or even political. Instead, it was a profound social and cultural upheaval sparked by a new wave of misinformation and skepticism surrounding the patent's applications. This chapter opens with Emily waking to a flurry of urgent messages and news alerts. A viral misinformation campaign, spread through social media platforms and amplified by high-profile skeptics, questioned the safety and intentions behind the patent technology. Rumors ranged from the patent causing long-term health effects to conspiracies about surveillance and control. The narrative rapidly gained traction among certain communities, fueling fear and division. Emily felt the weight of this social storm immediately. The coalition's trust, painstakingly built over years, was at risk. Communities hesitant to embrace the technology now faced pressure from misinformation, and some local governments began reconsidering ongoing projects. Recognizing the danger, Emily sprang into action, rallying her team to develop a comprehensive response strategy. Transparency became their cornerstone. They launched an open-access platform where independent scientists and experts could share verified data, answer questions, and address concerns in real time. They partnered with community leaders and grassroots organizations to host town halls and listening sessions, ensuring that people felt heard and empowered rather than dismissed. The challenge pushed Emily to refine her communication skills and deepen her empathy. She realized that facts alone couldn't counter fear, understanding the emotional and cultural roots of skepticism was key. The coalition worked tirelessly to bridge divides, respecting diverse perspectives while advocating for evidence-based progress. Meanwhile, the misinformation campaign evolved, often using emotionally charged language and dramatic imagery. Emily recognized the need for innovative approaches. They enlisted storytellers, artists, and influencers to craft compelling narratives that humanized the technology and highlighted real stories of impact. Personal testimonies from beneficiaries of the patent's applications, families whose lives had improved, workers retrained into new roles, students inspired by innovative education tools, became powerful antidotes to abstract fears. Throughout this crisis, Emily leaned on Marcus and her core team for support. The emotional toll was significant, and moments of doubt crept in. But their shared commitment to the mission sustained them. Emily reminded herself and her team that setbacks were part of any transformative journey, and resilience was born in adversity. As the narrative began to shift, pockets of resistance persisted, underscoring the ongoing nature of the work. The experience reinforced a critical lesson: innovation was not just about invention, but about nurturing trust, understanding, and shared purpose over time. The chapter closes with Emily addressing a global summit, reflecting on the challenge and the coalition's response. She emphasizes the importance of humility, open dialogue, and collective responsibility in navigating the complexities of progress. The patent story continues, not as a linear path but as a dynamic, evolving journey shaped by human values and connections. Emily's resolve remains unshaken, ready to face whatever comes next with courage and compassion. The turbulence from the misinformation storm had left scars, but it also forged a stronger, more compassionate coalition. Emily recognized that the future of innovation wasn't just about the patent's technological marvels, it was about integrating heart and humanity into every step of progress. She and her team began to redefine what success looked like, moving beyond metrics of efficiency and profit to embrace values of empathy, inclusion, and sustainability. This new chapter opened with a global gathering called the Innovation with Heart Summit, designed to bring together thinkers, creators, and leaders from every walk of life. The summit was a vibrant mosaic of voices, from engineers and ethicists to artists and activists, all united by a shared vision: technology that serves people, not the other way around. Emily's keynote speech captivated the audience as she shared her personal journey, the triumphs and trials, the moments of doubt and hope. She spoke candidly about the misinformation crisis and what it taught her about the fragile interplay between technology and society. Her message was clear: innovation must be grounded in trust and guided by compassion. At the summit, workshops and panels explored practical ways to embed these principles into development cycles. Ethical design frameworks, community co-creation models, and transparent communication strategies took center stage. Emily championed initiatives that prioritized mental health, accessibility, and environmental stewardship within patent-powered projects. One breakthrough presented was a partnership with indigenous communities, whose traditional knowledge enriched sustainable technology development in ways modern science alone could not achieve. This collaboration became a model for respecting cultural wisdom and fostering genuine partnership. The atmosphere was electric with possibility, and Emily felt a renewed sense of purpose. She saw how the patent's ripple effect was expanding, inspiring a generation of innovators to lead with both intellect and heart. Yet, she remained vigilant about the challenges ahead. The rapid pace of technological change demanded ongoing reflection and adaptation. Emily pushed for continuous learning environments within organizations, encouraging humility and openness to feedback. On the personal front, Emily deepened her relationship with Marcus, finding strength and balance in shared values and simple joys. Together, they explored retreats that blended technology and nature, affirming the harmony between progress and preservation. Emily also invested time mentoring young women in STEM, sharing her story to inspire confidence and resilience. The chapter culminates with Emily unveiling a new initiative, the Heart-Centered Innovation Fund, designed to support startups and projects that exemplify ethical, inclusive, and sustainable technology. The fund aimed to nurture ideas that might otherwise be overlooked in profit-driven ecosystems. As the summit concluded, Emily reflected on how far the journey had come, from a single patent with the potential to disrupt industries, to a global movement grounded in humanity. She understood that real disruption wasn't about upheaval alone but about creating lasting, positive change that honors the dignity of every person. The patent was no longer just an invention, it was a symbol of hope and responsibility. Emily felt ready to face the future with heart and courage, knowing that the true power of innovation lay not just in what it could do, but in why it was done. As the momentum from the Innovation with Heart Summit settled into tangible action, Emily found herself at the forefront of a new era, one defined by unprecedented collaboration across industries, cultures, and disciplines. The patent that had once been seen merely as a disruptive technology had matured into a catalyst for global partnership and shared purpose. The story began with Emily convening a series of cross-sector forums designed to break down traditional silos. Leaders from technology, government, education, healthcare, and environmental fields gathered to co-create strategies that leveraged the patent's capabilities for maximum social good. These forums were dynamic spaces where diverse perspectives clashed and converged, sparking innovative ideas that none could have achieved alone. Emily emphasized the importance of listening deeply, understanding not just the technical challenges but the cultural, ethical, and human dimensions that shaped each sector's needs and values. The results were striking. Collaborative projects emerged that blended patent-powered technology with local knowledge and grassroots insights. For example, in rural communities, renewable energy hubs powered by the patent's innovations were paired with vocational training programs to create jobs and empower residents. In urban areas, smart health initiatives integrated patent-driven devices with community health workers, improving access and outcomes for underserved populations. Emily championed transparency and equitable governance in these collaborations, ensuring that benefits and decision-making power were shared fairly. She knew that trust was the currency of partnership, and it had to be earned and nurtured continually. On a global scale, the patent's influence sparked new alliances among nations previously at odds. Shared challenges like climate change and pandemic preparedness created common ground, and the patent's technology became a tool for cooperative problem-solving rather than competition. Emily participated in diplomatic dialogues that emphasized mutual respect and shared humanity. Meanwhile, the cultural impact of this new era was profound. Artists, educators, and storytellers joined forces with scientists and engineers, co-creating projects that celebrated diversity and inspired curiosity. Public spaces became living laboratories where technology and creativity intertwined, inviting communities to engage and co-own the future. Emily also prioritized mentorship and capacity building to ensure that emerging leaders were equipped to sustain this collaborative momentum. She established global networks that connected innovators with resources, expertise, and support, fostering a vibrant ecosystem of shared learning and growth. Despite these achievements, challenges remained. Coordinating across different systems and cultures required patience, adaptability, and humility. Conflicts arose, and Emily often found herself mediating complex negotiations. Yet, each challenge was an opportunity to deepen understanding and strengthen bonds. On a personal level, Emily embraced the evolving nature of leadership, less about command and more about facilitation and empowerment. Her relationship with Marcus thrived amid this shared journey, grounded in mutual respect and shared vision. The chapter concludes with a landmark event, the launch of the Global Collaborative Innovation Network, GCN. A decentralized platform powered by the patent's technology. GCN connected individuals and organizations worldwide, enabling seamless exchange of knowledge, resources, and support. Emily's closing words at the launch reflected her conviction that the future belonged to those who could collaborate across divides with openness and heart. The patent's legacy was no longer just technological disruption, it was the dawn of a new era where humanity's greatest challenges were met together, with courage, compassion, and collective intelligence. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough?